What's an example of no good deed goes unpunished? Cal Poly University had an incident in the 80s that made the school paper. There was a former mouseketeer who worked in food services, and one day a student asked for help because his purchase hung in the vending machine. She opened it and gave it to him, but an alarm went off. She waited for security and explained things to them, but still lost her job. One day you're a TV performer watched by millions. Later in life you're fired because of a snack. Cal Poly failed me in a class because my professor accused me of cheating. He didn't have any proof other than that I did better on one test than another, but as they said he's tenured, so we have to side with him. I fricked off, finished my degree at another school, and got a job in my dream industry within a month of graduation. Not really related to the prompt, but yeah, frick Cal Poly. This almost happened to me for a project in my manuscript server course. Teacher accused me of cheating because the log files show you just copied someone else's server and didn't do it yourself. So I sat with him for 8 hours one day doing the exact same project over and over again, showing him that I know how to do it myself and that I wasn't cheating. Only for him to say, well, the log files still don't show you're doing it yourself. So I made him sit right next to me for 45 minutes and watch me do the project to prove to him I wasn't cheating. He was still mad off at me for some reason when he cold just watched me do it myself the first time instead of accusing me of cheating. I wrote a semi-popular plugin for a software package that's common in my field and released it open source, provided as is, no guarantee, warranty, or support is promised. Occasionally I get an email asking a question which I'm happy to answer if reasonable. I'm currently in a dispute with a very angry professor in California who somehow thinks that I need to support him set up an entire bioinformatics pipeline because someone in his lab tried to download my free plugin. Yay. So my dad wrote a database program to help my sister out. She's a doctor, to help track patients and whatever. My sister used it and presented it to the other doctors, and constantly she passes to my dad requests to enhance this and that and whatever, and my dad would do it for my sister, but eventually he had to say, look, this was a favor that I'm not being paid for, and the hospital is expecting to get work done without paying for it. I'm out. My brother-in-law had a friend whose son was a computer guy and said that he would take over and hire himself out to he hospital. My dad just had to agree and hand over all the code to him. My dad just said, look, everyone, frick off. I'm not doing this or handing anything over to anyone. Good luck. Never mention it again to me. I think in the end my sister gave the database and its front end over to the hospital and they maintain it themselves. The things we do for family, but at least it was for a good cause rather than some company taking his work and making a profit from it. Hospitals definitely make a profit from freaking patients and med students over work for $35k a year for 8 years after paying $200k a year to go to college. Congrats, here's $130k a year with the stacking, never leaving interest on your loans. A girl transferred into my school when we were 10 and bullied the crap out of everyone. She'd threatened the other kids, including me, not to tell on her, otherwise she'd make us regret it, and basically had a complete reign of terror over us. After about a year, I snapped and ended up being the one to tell the teacher everything she'd done and how she was treating us, and she got expelled. A lot of the other kids thanked me for turning her in, because I don't think it would have ended if someone hadn't, and we enjoyed the rest of our school years in peace. 9 years later, despite moving to a new town and getting an entirely new group of friends, the bitch showed up out of nowhere and fricked my boyfriend. Damn, she waited a long time for revenge. That sucks. I'd literally forgotten she existed in the 9 years we'd been apart. I never saw her the whole time, moved to a new town, lost contact with anyone who used to know her. I was so confused and shocked when she just walked straight into my friendship group one day as though she belonged there and started introducing herself to everyone. She shot me a look that kinda said, I know who you are, but never said a word to me, and then went home with my boyfriend. He confessed to what happened, and I just left the pair of them to be assholes together. Frick that crap. When I was in the Air Force, I separated from my wife before a short tour overseas, England for 3 years. When I came back, we pursued a divorce. I was still getting paid for having a dependent. Since I was still technically married, it was legit. When I went in to offer my finance group my divorce decree to get the dependent off my pay stub, the computer system was down, so I had to sign in on paper. They usually have a computer system to sign you in and direct you to the right person to help and fill out all the paperwork by hand. 6 months later, I just happened to print up a pay stub to take into Verizon to get a military discount on my bill and noticed that the dependent pay was still coming through. I verified every month prior to that as well. I wasn't checking each stub before then, just because I wasn't worried about how much was coming in, so it's partially my fault. When I went back to finance to tell them about it, they told me I was stealing money from the government and called my commander, who proceeded to demote me after I just tested for the next rank. I was a tech sergeant /E6 at the time. They shredded my test results, took my stripe, and gave me an Article 15 non-judiciary punishment. Holy crap, they gave you NJP for that? My pay's been messed up a few times and they either wordlessly took the money from my next paychecks, or my admin was like, oh that sucks, how do you want to pay it back? And that was that. I would have found the paper log you originally signed and, respectfully, threw it back in their faces. This was at Canon AFB back in 2012. I assume the commander was demotion happy because the dude was demoting everyone for everything. People were underage drinking, failing physical fitness levels, getting busted by quality for tech data violations. I think he was just sick of all the crap going down and just demoted everyone. Saw two ladies from my office building struggling to load a table into van. They were moving from our building to a new place. I told them, if they remove the legs it will be easier and it will take less space. They told me they didn't have the tools, Allen keys. So I went upstairs and brought my set down. When I started to remove the legs, they insisted they will do it and bring the set back to my office. After a while I went downstairs, they were gone. Of course I figured they would take the set with them to reassemble the table at the new place. Never saw them again. Felt like an idiot. I have a drawer full of Allen keys of all sizes, because if someone doesn't steal them, they will just walk off on their own anyway. All sizes except 3/16, you mean? Basically anytime I do something extra for a customer, I give them the benefit of the doubt and take care of something that's borderline. They are always the people that file a complaint about OMG, poor service. My office has a mantra that no good deed goes unpunished. I've learned that the hard way at my office too. I work in plan review and construction inspecting. Sometimes they make a minor mistake that is still up to code, just not our standards, and they beg me to let them see-eyed. But when I do, they make the same mistake over and over in the future, as it saves them money, even though they know darn well what they were supposed to do this time. So often they are like, well, you allowed it in this case. Oh, you mean the one I wanted you to rip out and replace with our standard material, but let you slide to save you $20,000? Screw you. Always. Being nice ones becomes how you do things now in their eyes, and not just that they got a little break and you're the bad guy. At my old cafe, I came in for the evening / closing shift and my friend / co-worker was there and said he'd be opening the store with Molly, fake name, the next morning and he would really love it if we could give him a good close. Molly was slow and incompetent and he didn't like working with her. So I went above and beyond. I left that cafe more pristine than ever and even took care of some of his morning tasks, specifically weighing out the beans for the next day, which is a time-consuming task they were expected to do in the mornings, and one in which he says Molly normally does, and she takes way too long to do it. I came in the next day to a note from him chastising me for taking away their tasks. I was livid and told him to never ask me to do anything for him again. Sort of similar, but different. I worked in a bar that was really busy all day around. I was the bar manager there. We had a day manager, 2 GMs and me as the management. Day manager comes to me on a Saturday late afternoon and begs me to open for him the next day. I tell him no because closing, which I did that day, means to be done at 4 o'clock on a good day, but realistically 5 o'clock. Opening meant being there at 8 o'clock. Including travel time, this meant about 1,5 hours of sleep. He told me there was an emergency in his family that he needed to attend to and that he could be there at 12 o'clock on Sunday to relieve me. I told him alright, if it's an emergency I'm willing to do it, but I'm not looking forward to it. Short night with nothing more than a nap later, after a 13-hour shift the day before. I'm back there at 8 o'clock on Sunday, realizing I never opened this bar before. Doing what I think is right and asking two servers also opening for guidance. We get troughed pretty much alright. We get trough breakfast fine and lunch starts kicking in when the dude only shows up at 13:30. I had no time to call him before because we were getting busy. As soon as I see him walking, I clock out and head home to sleep. When I wake up again at 1700 hours, I have several missed calls from him and about 20 WhatsApp messages with stuff I did wrong. Very mundane things, like I put the fresh ginger in the wrong container, use the black milk can for soy, but it's supposed to be oat milk, those kind of things. He even made it a point to complain to the GMs about it, who luckily responded along the lines of really dude, he does a close and open for you, you bish about milkins to us? I handed his ass to him, verbally, the next time I saw him, and made it absolutely clear I will not ever do even the slightest thing, that is even a minuscule bit out of my way, to make his work more comfortable. He apologized. I told him he's still a freaking donkey. If I worked at a bar where the managers had my back, I would be so happy. Wrote up the daughter of the head of ours at work for harassing/assaulting one of the newer employees. Got 3 consecutive write-ups the next day for being late by 2 minutes, missing an important email that accidentally wasn't sent to me, and running out to my car on the clock to grab my inhaler. Normally 3 write-ups in the same month is automatic termination. The only reason I wasn't fired is because I was the only trainer in the Southeast US, and she was probably afraid I would sue. Side note, the head of ours had been fired from her previous job, also ours, for having sex with an employee in her office. This reminds me of a time my boss tried to pull something like this on me. I gave out information that I didn't know I wasn't supposed to when she was demanding that I tell her who told me that. I didn't want to get anyone else in trouble, so I didn't say. My boss then goes, well, I already gave you a verbal warning, now I'm giving you a written warning. Nothing ever happened. Wow. If you keep that up, you could be looking at a full disabulation. I was helpful to a new person I work with. Now she tells people things are my job when they ask her a question. We don't even work in the same department. I worked with a woman who would constantly ask me how to do things. At first I would tell her to be helpful, but she kept asking long after she should have gotten everything on her own. I still helped to be nice. Later I realized she was asking me because anytime she messed up she would blame it on me. That's how Lauratory told me to do it. And my boss would get mad at me. I think after the second time I got in trouble for her mistakes. If she asked me how to do something I would say that I didn't know. But then her new tactic turned into suddenly remembering that she had to go to the storeroom anytime a customer came in. We live on the 2nd floor and have neighbors on the 1st floor. Beginning of the lockdown, our downstairs neighbors asked if they could tag on our Wi-Fi and offered to pay. Sure, that's fine, and after a month they said they were going to get their own Wi-Fi. Fair enough. Didn't want to ask them to pay for the month they did use as they were both out of a job due to COVID. It wasn't much anyway. Forward several weeks and I had to go into work. My girlfriend was on a work call and we get a package delivered. My girlfriend couldn't answer, so the delivery driver rang our downstairs neighbors and no one answered, but we knew they were home. Delivery driver walked back to his truck and looked back to see our neighbors hanging out in front of the window and asked them if they could pick it up. Did they? No, of course not. And my girlfriend could hear them verbally state they won't pick up our packages. Have I physically brought their packages up to leave outside their door previously? Of course I have, because that's a decent thing to do. Furthermore, after this incident, when I got home I checked to see who was connected on our network and lo and behold, one of them still was. You should have still let them connect, but limit their bandwidth to practically none, so it's even more frustrating than no internet. Everything on their end will still show a great connection, just the speeds are so slow it'll time out trying to load an ML that only says hi. At work I was on break while my coworker was covering my job. When I come back he says he was trying to receive our customers' packages in the system but something screwed up and asked if I could take a look at it while he went on his break. Said no problem. Turns out he fricked up on the steps and now we can't go back to fix it. So I tell the manager the situation. I specifically didn't mention who caused it so that I didn't come off petty trying to blame someone. Next day they have all of us retrain on the process and made sure to tell everyone it's because I fricked it up. Shoulder at his sorry ass out. Just casually mention his name like X wanted me to do check this out for him and when I did it was 50 shades of fricked up. No way in hell you should have taken the fall like that. Oh I did lol. My lead came up to me and was like, so I have to go over this with you again because boss says you messed it up yesterday, and I was like oh hell crap I did, and then explained what really happened. Made sure the actual boss knew too. I know this is small, but still annoyed me. When I was in college I found some car keys. Obviously lost as it was late and there was no one in building nearby or around. So I took them to the on-campus police station to be put and lost and found. Did I mention it was late? Yeah, around 9:30 I had had a long day and a 7 AM class the next day. Just wanted to get home and sleep. Got to the station to turn them in, and the woman at the desk told me I'd have to wait for an officer to take a statement. What? Okay fine. I waited 30 minutes before I pulled out a piece of paper wrote where I found the keys, my full name, year, discipline, and phone number, and handed that along with the keys to the woman telling her I couldn't wait any longer and left. She tried to stop me, but I walked out. Got home, took a shower, and crashed. 11:30 my phone rings. I ignore it. It rings again. I answer it. It's the on-campus police asking me about the incident. I was involved at the station. Bish what? Told the officer what happened. Found keys, tried to turn them in. Couldn't wait, had to leave, etc. He went okay thanks, we may contact you again for further details. All I did was turn in some lost car keys. Goddamn. Did never hear back from the police, but I did end up knowing the owner to the keys, and he bought me a Starbucks gift card as a thank you, so that was really nice. Never ever leave your name with any authority when doing something nice. Just drop them off at the desk and walk away. My mom once saved a drowning man. She dragged him out of the surf and performed CPR. She brought him back from the dead. Mind you, my mom is an MD. She knows what she's doing. A few months, a lawyer calls her practice. The man is putting together a lawsuit for aggravating his back injury. I was the one that answered the police officer's questions and gave my mom's contact info. In my life, I've helped a few people in some traffic accidents. When an official medical police arrives, I get the frick out. I wish the injured person good luck and leave as fast as possible. I do not leave my name. Suing the doctor that saved him. Frick that guy, what a garbage human.